Hey guys, what is up? It looks like maybe I know these players. I can't really tell for sure, but I want to talk about some counters to spears. Actually, one counter specifically. I've talked about some counters like using spears yourself when you're facing against the spears so you minimize the risk of trades because of their passive poise. I've talked a little bit about using like ultra great weapons and then as a team chasing the spear down to put them under a lot of pressure and break their poise. But another tactic here is playing very passively, trying to flank, especially with shields. Shields, especially high stability shields like Black Knight Shield, especially where the player knows how to use it, where it's not like a great shield, where I find a lot of players who don't really know what they're doing use great shields. A player uses Black Knight usually has an idea of what they're doing with the shield and they understand the principles. So here I put the White Phantom away, and I think at this point I've probably got the fight in the bag because I've got the poise, the passive poise of a three-man team versus two. Oh, how wrong I was. This is actually where this fight really begins. And it takes me probably a good 30 seconds or so to start putting the pieces together. But I realized pretty quickly that they have a strategy that they've worked out, and it's really effective. The strategy essentially consists of the mage standing in the back and casting pew-pews while the host runs interference. And you'll see he looks to sort of interposition himself between me and the mage whenever possible. He's usually got his shield up, and it makes it really difficult, if not impossible, for me to pressure either one of them, because then the other one will come up on my flank and do a lot of damage. Normally in this situation, my strategy would be to immediately get after the mage. And you see there was the first kind of bit of aggression from the host. I punished it pretty well, but he's got so much Estus, I really can't try to win the fight against him like that. The only way I'm going to try to chase him down is if I have a really good advantage on him, like he's at really low health or something. Otherwise, I feel like I have to put this Phantom away first. Because the Phantom is a mage, they already have reduced Estus. They have low damage. You can see there, I saw them switch to the Chime. Unfortunately, they were able to get the regen off before I was able to attack. There I see the mage switch over to a dagger, so I know they're just going to quick step away as soon as I get close. So you can see they've really put some thought into this, because one approach I can use here is to try to out-passive them, and in fact that's kind of what I'm doing here and allowing my regen to help me out. And the other thing is I have the orbs, so in the long run, if we try to out-passive one another, I probably have the edge, because I have a version of Homing Soul Mass which gets auto cast, which costs no FP for me. So if like I really wanted to win this fight, watch what happens. This is my big break in the fight. I break his guard. A riposte at this point will probably kill him, or at least get him very low at health. But unfortunately the orbs fired and stole my riposte. And that unfortunately happens a little too often. And here I get too much tunnel vision. I'm going after the host, and I'm not paying enough attention to how much damage the mage is doing to me. I see the Crystal Skill Spear, and unfortunately I don't manage my lock-on properly, and as I'm trying to rotate the camera to see where the next cast is coming from, I end up catching another Crystal Skill Spear and die. Okay, so I've also gotten a number of questions lately on like Discord, on Steam. A lot of people are trying out Spears of the Church, maybe people who haven't before, which I think is super cool. And I've been getting a lot of questions about how to deal with passive parties, how to deal with people that want to kind of shield up and maybe circle around you. And this is a real problem in invasions, especially at low level. You get 2 or 3 players and they will all be passive, and then as soon as you focus on any one player to try to attack, they'll just put their shield up and start backpedaling while the other players converge on you from the side and from behind and try to flank you. And this can be a very difficult thing to try to deal with. And you can see here I'm dealing with it just a little bit. It'll actually get worse as the fight progresses. So I'm trying to put the Phantom away. And right now the host is engaged with the Guardian. And so I'm making a calculated decision here. I'm going to try to focus on the Sunbro, try to put him away while I wait for the host. Or rather, while I wait for the host to deal with the Guardian. I have no doubt he'll beat the Guardian, but there should be enough time, I'm thinking, for me to put the Phantom away. Now, it turns out not to be the case. And actually, it got me thinking about something that comes up all the time with regard to decision making and evaluating decision making. And in economics, they call it ex ante and ex post. And you can see there the host just put the guardian away. So decision making ex ante means evaluating the decision based on the things that were known to the decision maker at the time of the decision, whereas ex post means evaluating the decision based on things that were known afterward. So what were the consequences? And I'm a big believer in evaluating things ex ante because that's all you could have possibly known. It makes no sense, to evaluate a decision based on outcomes that weren't reasonably predictable. So in this case, my choice, I think, to go after the Sunbro and leave the host of the Guardian was still the right choice, even though it didn't work out for the best in this particular case. So just as like the previous case, when I see these guys being somewhat passive, I'm just going to keep using regen, trying to focus on keeping my regen up. And in fact, I've actually given some thought to trying to find some sort of timer, or maybe even building one myself. I don't know, from like a Raspberry Pi, something like that. But a timer for when Bountiful Light runs out. And I don't remember. I think it's like 45 seconds. Maybe it's a minute. I'd have to check. But anyway, just something where you could like click a button when you set off the regen, and then have a timer that goes off when it runs out, just because I think one of the ways that I give up a lot of HP is I start to get distracted and I don't think to throw the regen back on, and there I get outspaced. I felt like such a jackass there. But I think that would be really useful. I've never actually gotten around to doing it. I probably won't, just because it's so nerdy anyway, and I'm already overly invested in this game. But if that appeals to anybody out there and it's something you ever do, I'd love to hear about it. So anytime I try to attack the Sunbro here, he's going to go super passive, he's going to throw up his shield, he's going to start backpedaling or rolling away, and the host is going to come up from behind me and try to backstab me, and he's already backstabbed me once, so I'm pretty nervous. And then the Sunbro, of course, every now and then he's going to throw out that Dragon Slayer Great Axe R1, and that thing hurts like hell, so I always have to respect that, so I can't be too aggressive in my chase down. And so we're at kind of a stalemate here. And so I decide I'm going to go back and be sort of passive, and you can see the host here is throwing Kukri at me. It's kind of, just being in a standoff like this. Now, I know in this particular case, the odds favor me. I don't think either of these players are super good at PvP. Not an insult to them, it's just probably not what they do. So if I kind of hang out back here, I'll take advantage of my lightning orbs, kind of chipping away. I thought this was smart for them to use that buff, but then the host inexplicably puts away the War Banner, and I'm pretty sure that the War Banner buff requires the War Banner to actually be in your hand to stay active. I think maybe if it's in like your offhand and your two-hand in your main weapon, I think maybe then it's still active, but definitely if you switch it away from your active inventory, the buff will go away. So I've also I switched over to Night Slayer, which is always a really great idea when you're dealing with passive turtles. And then I also switched over to the Hand Axe because it does a lot more stamina damage and better chip than the S-Stock's gonna do. Now I do give up some reach, which kind of sucks, and I can definitely feel the difference in the reach, but I think it was the right strategy. If he throws up his shield at an inopportune moment, I'm gonna break his guard. That would have been a roll catch with the S-Stock most likely, but it was not because of the Hand Axe reach. I think the Sunbro at this point is out of Estus, or maybe he's really close to being out of Estus. Maybe he's got one more. No, I think this is the last one, that's right. Because he kind of gives it up there. That was actually kind of funny. GG, mate. So now at this point, obviously, the fight's pretty much over. Now that I can fight this host, and I just start blasting because I know I can trade with him. So even if he attacks out of stun as he does, the fight's over. GG, guys.